Welcome to episode 7 of Talking Bollocks from Rufy as Fuck. Today we're going to be talking about dosing. And in amongst that, we're going to talk about hardware, what we use to dose, why, little tips and tricks we can do. So I'm just going to kick it off and say that almost exclusively up until a year ago, I have been using Neptune doses. Does everyone want to vomit now and stick the boot in? Do you want to just get it out of the way? No? So... Okay, I actually really like these dosers. They work really, really well. But one of the main reasons why I like them predominantly is because of Trident controlled dosing. Now, I know automatic testers are a bit of a hot subject, so hopefully we'll get lots of likes and subscribes from this. The main thing I like about this is the fact that it actually talks to the Apex. The Apex tests my water, talks to these guys, doses appropriately. I have, and if there was some wood here, I would touch it. Never had an issue with Trident controlled dosing. Now, Jason. Yes, it is noisy as fuck, but because I don't have any fish tanks at home and I work in a really busy environment, these dosing small amounts throughout the day, I don't even hear. Automatic water changes are done at night when there's nobody around in the office or through in the shop. Noise isn't an issue for me, but they are loud. I would strongly not recommend anybody have these in a home unless you have a basement or something, because it's going to keep you up.
Those basements are nice.
Again, fuck you. Damn basements. So one of the other things I really like about these is the replacement heads that literally... I was squeezing the bit further back. Pop off.
Squeezing the wrong spot.
Yeah, and then just pop it back on. Absolutely brilliant. So the reason why I said I've been loving them up until about a year ago as exclusively my dosers is because I then discovered the Seachem Sentia dose, which is absolutely tiny, infinitely quieter, has exactly the same system for changing heads. You just spin this one and it pops off and then clicks on. These rings, you can change the color from red, for example, to blue. So at a glance, to your dosers, you can tell exactly what it's dosing. It also comes with little clips that you clip onto the other end of the hose, so you know the hose at the other end, and amongst all the tangle of wires, is that hose. So just another little nice thing. You do have to buy a primary unit, which is slightly more expensive than these slave units. But the other amazing thing is that each side pops off, and you can then click it into your primary or just keep easy chaining. You then have all your different coloured circles on it. The app, though, is the absolute crunch for me. The app is amazing. It's like they have taken everybody else's app, looked at all of the good parts and looked at all of the bad parts, dumped all the bad parts and just focused on the good parts, and it is amazing. Also the Wi-Fi connectivity to these is rock solid. We have terrible Wi-Fi in the shop, and I could change the dosing schedule right now on my phone without even blinking an eye.
Is it a maximum amount of slaves that you can add?
That I knew I was going to get asked, and I Googled it, and I couldn't find an answer. So, I mean, see, to be honest, if you really wanted to be a total dick about it and take Seachem to court, I suppose you could buy 50 of them, plug them all in, and see if your house burns down. But only the primary requires power, only the primary requires Wi-Fi, and when you connect your next one to it, it powers up and is already connected to Wi-Fi and automatically gets added to the app.
Again, Seachem sponsor this guy. Jesus Christ.
That is fantastic.
I'm not joking, and it is tiny, and it comes with everything in the box you need, including the wall connection brackets, the little barbs for these hoses. Now, I do have a negative. Although I have found a way around the negative, and the only negative I can say for it, and I do think I've worked out the reason why they've done this, the tubing is slightly smaller than every other doser on the market. Now, this obviously means that the pressure within this hose can be less. So the pump can be smaller, but it will still take it quite far. But the nice thing about it is the outside diameter of this is a really snug fit of the inside diameter of standard dosing tubing. So you literally cut a bit of standard dosing tubing, attach that to your reservoir, and then this literally slides tight, a really, really airtight fit inside it. So you only actually need a tiny bit of this.
How tight, Don?
Jason, why are you smirking? Right, so Jordan, you're smirking for the same fucking reason. It is a snug fit.
Okay, so the app is great.
Yep.
The system works well with the app.
Yep.
Wi-Fi is great. What about dosing accuracy and how well does it stay dosing the same? Do you have to calibrate it often?
No. I mean, I calibrate everything once every couple of months. I've got a wee reminder set up on my phone, so I do that anyway. It comes with its own little calibration vial in the box. They've been absolutely pinpoint for me.
How small of doses do you think you can go down to?
Oh, I think it's 0.1 mil. It's insane. Yeah.
Really? And it stays accurate if you're doing a half a milliliter?
It is absolutely crazy how accurate it is. So yeah, I don't know if you can. I would screen share and stuff, but I'm too old to work that out. But so it shows you the colors. So the top one's alkalinity, calcium and magnesium, and then when you click on that, it shows you how much you can set up how much is left in your reservoir. It can tell you when to refill it. It shows you your calibration volume, and then it works out all of your split up of your doses over your set period of time.
I remember seeing when those things were coming out in the market, and I think the king of reefing, Jake, did a video on them, and that's when I first saw them. But they didn't hit the market yet, and there was no price yet. And but he really loved them. He said they were great. There's something to say.
I can't speak highly enough about them. And they're really quiet as well.
Do you which tank do you use them on then? If you're not using Trident to control them?
Every single tank I own has these on it. So on my office reefer and my frag tank, because I already had all the doses and things like that, that's all sewn up with Neptune and the Trident. So I do the A&K.
Okay.
The stuff that you suggested.
But you're not doing your alkalinity or anything off of with those.
I am on the shop system, and I can't call it quarantine system anymore. My overflow.
Because you don't have Neptune on those, right?
No.
Yeah.
So I only have these on it, so I have to manually test.
I wonder how those would work with hydros.
I don't know if you can connect them. But
they're just a standalone, complete standalone.
Obviously, with the Maven and the Minnow and all of this other amazing stuff that's coming out, I don't know whether these things will maybe get the opportunity to integrate with these controller systems.
Who was Hydros using with their pumps? Was it
Kamor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what I have.
Kamora are not a big deal over here. I don't know why, but I mean they're available, but I don't know anyone that uses them.
Don't you have to go through DD Solutions?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They've got
that's what I figured.
Stuff sewn up over here. So yeah, that's what I use to actually dose. I did used to use the Bubble Magus 3-channel dosers, but things kept on going sideways and I couldn't work out why. And then one day I just sat and watched it. And as pump 1 span, pump 3 would just slightly kind of jitter and drip whatever it was dosing into the sump at the same time. So it was just all over the place. Just, I mean, of all the things to do for a doser, that's the one thing you don't want it to do. So I sent it back to the company and they sent me a brand new one because I got them through my wholesaler. And the second one came and 1, 2, and 3 all span at the same time. So it was just a random piece of shit.
That's definitely not good.
Yeah, no, just avoid. Just absolute garbage. I tried new heads, changed it up, thinking there was something wrong with it. There's just something wrong with the programming and the electronics in general. So, yeah. So my big 3, I use Red Sea. However, Jim...
Red Sea what? What was it? I couldn't see.
Oh, it was,
Red Sea.
For the big 3, I use the alkalinity, the foundation. I use the alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. But then,
that's one thing.
No, that's just alkalinity. So
okay,
you've got all 3 separately. But then I spoke to my scientist friend Jim Mazurek, and he said, "Why the fuck are you not making your own?" So I've now started buying sodium carbonate, and it turns out to get exactly the same thing. So, oh, by the way, that was like 15 quid for 1 million tons.
With no reef tax.
Yeah. And then it turns out it's exactly 100 grams per litre of water to get to the same concentration as the Red Sea, which is, I think it's 1 ml to 100 litres of water equates to a rise in 0.1 DKH. So that's handy. I've not started using it yet because I still have so much of the Red Sea stuff left, but I am now burning through it. The frag tank's up to nearly 200 ml a day. So I'm going to burn through that pretty quick and then get on to my homemade stuff. And
how much are you using through all your tanks?
About 500 ml across everything a day. So
a day,
yeah, it's going to be so much cheaper. Oh, Mr. Dub disagrees.
No, it's not. That's so much. 5 liters?
500
And that's
mil.
just that liquid.
Oh no, 500 ml a day.
Oh, 500. Sorry, I was hearing 5,000.
But no, I'd be fucking shaking my head. If that would be bonkers.
It's still like a whole water bottle full of dosing a day.
That's a lot.
It's
significant.
It's
Jim, Jim, you're up there, aren't you? Like
$6.50 a day. $6.50 a day. Just for that's just for my tank and frag tank that are together. So 250 gallons.
It's a lot of additive.
That's why I buy baking soda or baking soda, baking powder. I don't know. I buy the Arm & Hammer shit and bake it because it's too much money to keep up with that. So
yeah, I looked at buying the bicarbonate, but the price was like £2 different for the same quantity. So I was like, well, I'm not going to cook that. I'll just go straight to this. However, you did make a fair point, which is this is not food grade. This is cleaning grade. So hopefully my tank will be cleaner. So there you go. Moving on. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about is the potential of dosing food. So I think I told you guys in the feeding episode that I tried the Easy Reef's SPS Evo stuff. So it's like a gel, and you can hook that.
Yeah, the mastic.
Doser. That's it. And I stopped using that because it was crystallizing in the tubes. I would love to dose, because this is obviously the new version. This used to be a 2-part. It's now the single version, but they say you've got to either only put in the container as much as you use in a week, which is not a lot, or rinse out your container and all your lines. And my question is, who is doing that?
That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
Have you seen the Matt Wandell has a video on his like refrigerated auto doser? So like it's 2 dosing pumps, and then he'll have one dose the food in, and then the second one flush the lines with RO water.
That's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea. So I take it you have to drill a fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like twice, I think. But I mean, once you get it dialed in, you don't touch it. You just swap the bottles out and leave it the fuck alone. And
I mean, if I had room for a fridge, I would maybe you can get pretty cheap fridges, can't you?
yeah,
You get little ones for a couple of cans of beer.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to take the beer out.
So I'm interested, Ron, with your big three. If you're dosing that much for alkalinity, how much are you dosing for calcium?
I'm only dosing between 50 and 60 ml a day on calcium.
Really?
And I know that doesn't make any sense. Magnesium has skyrocketed recently. I'm up to 35 on magnesium. I used to almost not dose magnesium. Every time I tested magnesium, when I first set up this tank and the frag tank, there was no magnesium consumption at all.
And does the calcium come in a Red Sea container too? Is that what you're buying, or what?
Yeah.
And is it just mixed up calcium chloride? Is that all it is?
Not a clue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out with my comfort zone to be mixing anything to my beloved tanks rather than buying something that is just guaranteed to work. And if it doesn't, you fucking blame them. But
so I don't know what the concentration is of that Red Sea stuff, but I'm dosing. I buy the BRS calcium chloride just because I can't find calcium chloride that I trust yet, and I'm dosing like half of what I dose of my elk, so like 250, 300 milliliters a day of calcium, and then mag is like half of what I dose calcium. I dose like 150 mag a day milliliters. So I'm wondering why my ratios are so much different. I wonder what's in my tank that uses it differently.
Bearing in mind, I've got automatic water changes, ripping water out every single night. So there's whatever that Red Sea blue bucket is as standard is diluting what is in their dose during the day every night.
But concentration of water that you move is what after a week? Like if you were to figure out how much that water change actually changes, is it like 15%, 10%? You know?
It's about 40%. I go quite
40%?
Yes.
Wow, you're doing heavy water changes.
Yep.
Yeah, so you would be using more probably.
Yeah, I found that if I do any less than that, my phosphates skyrocket. And I'm sick of using carbon and ROFOS. I mean, ROFOS is absolutely extortionate, stupid money. But I find that all of these ROFOS things that you're putting through your fluidized reactors and your carbon and stuff take out way too much good stuff for me. Yes, they take out pigments and things like that, but I'll go with the pigment and this minutely smaller amount of power difference than losing all of these traces and good stuff that I need in my tank. And my corals are way better.
Does anybody else do close to what Ron does as far as weekly water change? 40%?
But I'm getting my...
I don't know. I have a new tank, so...
I'm getting my salt at wholesale, remember, though.
How many gallons?
Mine's like 1%.
Liters. 1%.
Y'all.
Yeah, I'm doing 10% a week, just 10%.
I mean, with the smaller tank, I was doing like 35 to 40% a week usually. But it was a small tank. It wasn't much.
It was like you were changing 2 gallons.
No, I was changing like 10 gallons a week.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
How many cups?
But I mean, a 26-gallon tank, it doesn't take much to be, 40%. So...
So if Dr. B's only doing 1%, he's close to
that's
moonshiners.
per day.
That's per day? Okay.
Yeah. So I guess roughly 7 to 10% per week. But it's 420 gallons, so I'm not going to change more than that.
Yeah.
So does anyone else want to talk about their dosing?
Just before you run off with that, like you have your Trident hooked up to your Neptune dose pumps.
Yep.
So what are you doing to test? Because you're doing a 3-part plus trace, and then you're doing your feeding doses on top of that. So do you test weekly? Is it every few days? And are you using like Hannah's? Are you using the manual test kits? Like, what are you running on those systems that don't have your Trident?
Hannah multi-parameter tester. I've also got the egg testers that I use now and again. And every 3-4 months, I'll send away an ICP just to make sure there's nothing really weird starting to build up in the system. That's just through fear from multiple disasters in the past that I still don't have a definitive answer on.
Right. But how often are you testing your big three to make sure that what you're putting in with those CChem pumps are actually like keeping up?
Every Sunday.
Okay. That's religious.
Yes.
So you're testing once a week on top of testing with Trident all the time?
No, I don't test the big three unless something looks fucky on the frag tank and the office reefer. I only test the big three on the shop
manually.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I do trust the Trident. And the Trident will tell if something is going off, the Trident's going to show you pretty quickly. And I've caught a couple of things a few times with it. And I know not everyone in here is a Neptune fan, but I have to say the Trident controlled dosing situation for me has been absolutely amazing.
So if we go through your display and your frag tank are set up with Neptune and Trident. On those tanks, you're dosing alk, calcium, magnesium, auto water change, A plus, K minus, and anything else daily?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
I used to dose acro power, but we've been there.
Yep. I've got a leader sitting in the closet.
Me too. Dusty bottle.
Stupid ass. Well, I'll just buy the big one instead of the little one first step. Fuck, I used it twice. Coral looked like shit and it's sitting. Should have bought the little one.
When I dosed daily, I didn't see any benefit to it. But then when we did the big dump thing, not good.
Yeah.
And I stopped.
So I'm dosing the same exact stuff that you dose, different quantities. And I just use a 5-head Jabo doser. So it's just it's not a Wi-Fi, it's just a 5-head plug and play and program it at the box, and that's it. I had a 4-head Jabo that was dosing the big three, but then when I went to add dosing of the trace, I had to get another dosing head, and instead of buying just a single, I bought the 5-head. So now I have a 4-head Wi-Fi Jabo sitting that I don't use, but so I'm doing almost the same thing as you without Trident, without any control, and just a 5-head cheap head doser.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest benefit of the Trident controlled dosing is that on the frag system in particular, I'm taking 100, 150 corals out all at one time, and trying to then get back to a trend of what the consumption is of all of these different elements is, I really struggled to begin with, but the Trident catches it straight away and it's like, well, no, your alkalinity consumption's dropped significantly, so I'm only going to dose this. I'm not saying I can completely walk away from it, but it's pretty sweet.
So what's
very excited about the Maven though. That is talking so loud to me, and it's going to be nothing but benefit to the consumer that we're going to have this competition now. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's funny that they're all fighting now too. It's so stupid. And you got people fighting, and people say, "Why don't they do this to this one? And why don't people fight about this one?" It's just shut the fuck up.
Tell me the price. I don't
What's
care
the price?
I want to know the price. That's too expensive.
Yeah. So Ron, with yours, do you, when you're not pulling corals, do you see a trend? Are you very consistent then, or do you get waves even when you're?
I do get waves. I mean, as corals I noticed that when a frag of a certain species of coral gets to a certain bulk, the consumption really starts to go up. So I've got a green acro in there. I don't remember the name. But when I frag a big colony of that and they start to puddle onto those plugs and then the branches start, my alkalinity consumption goes way up. And the Trident just takes care of it. So you give it the ballpark. So you say to the Trident when you set it up, I want to dose 100 ml a day. It then decides whether it's below. You still have to give it a number. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but so you do your manual test and you just let it go. And on that subject, the only other thing I want to say about the Trident is ABC reagents have been game changer. The quantity of reagent you get for that amount of money and the tests are absolutely rock solid. So shout out to Jonas at ABC Reagents. What a legend. He's doing amazing things for the hobby. Well done. And I know he's going up against
some people don't like that.
No.
Some people are very upset about that. My car's ready. I'll see you.
Cheers, Jim.
Sorry.
So who would like to talk about their dosing, what they dose and why? And Mr. Dub, do you wanna go for it? I know you're a Hydros man.
And mine's probably the most simple. I dose calc the pH. It's auto set.
Jordan is sitting shaking his head.
Jason and I are both simpler, I promise. But
way simpler, buddy.
No, go on, Jack. Go on.
No, I mean that's all I do. Well, no, okay. Jim got me on the train for Tropic Marines A and K. I do that daily. So trace dosing, calc dosing.
Did you
water
see
changes has been
a major
frequent
difference with the A and K? Did you notice difference? I saw a massive difference in color.
Yeah. Oh, coloration. Yeah. Same. No, I'm pretty simple. So, what about you guys?
With 210 gallons, you get the best bang for your buck with your calc for sure.
100%. Stability is crazy. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but dosing to pH, I've been able to keep a stable alk at 7.5, like 7 to 7.5. I'd like to be able to have more, and I've been thinking about it, talking with certain people, calcium reactor, but I guess I still have this weird, stupid fear of intricate or complicated machinery, even though it's not that complicated. Just new.
More points of failure too, right? Like it makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
7.5 pH, is that what you said?
No. DKH for alkalinity.
Oh, okay. I thought.
For pH, I typically keep A3.
Yeah.
So
did you ever not dose your Kalkwasser, and like what was your pH like then, if you did?
So there are times when I run out, it'll be like 7.8, 7.9.
Wow.
So it's quite a bit. Yeah. So
it's pretty simple.
Yep.
So my current struggle is my pH. I sit at 7.9 daily. So I ordered a calcium reactor because corals aren't. I don't really notice a whole lot of growth.
How long's that going to sit in the corner?
Fuck you. They are going in next week.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the reactors were actually hurting your pH, and you had to offset it with your calc.
Yep.
So plus and minus.
Because you're putting in
carbonic acid,
more acidic, high alkalinity solution, I thought, but.
So if you degas the liquid coming out of the calcium reactor by running it through something that essentially bubbles, then you can blow off a lot of that CO2. So like in my system, the pipe coming back from I have sumps above my tank, so it's different, but the pipe coming back from the last sump, where I put my effluent from my calcium reactor in. By the time it hits the tank, most of the CO2 is gone. Also, having a lot of airflow over the tank, so I have constant like positive ventilation. I have zero issues with pH with running calcium reactor at like 100 mils per minute. Technically 2 calcium reactors.
Wow.
Yep. So, I mean, I think ventilation is something that gets underlooked, or, you know, people don't pay attention to. But, you know, ventilating the room the tank is in is pretty huge for fixing pH issues. I have 2 like fans from like grow hoods that I use to pump air out of the room that the tank's in, and it really never gets under 8 for pH.
Or you could just drill a hole in the side of your house.
No, we're not going there again.
Or just a window frame.
Put tape over the hole if you mess up the first time.
Yeah.
Positive input ventilation here is it's still a pretty new thing, but it's been a game changer. It's been a game changer for every one of my tanks.
Yeah.
But like you put 2 dryer vents through the wall, or 1 dryer vent, or whatever you need, and then you can buy these things that basically are 4-inch pipe, you know, blowers, and you just blow the air out of the room it's in, or suck the air out of it.
Well, it's in my living room, and so the wall that it's on is not an outside wall.
Well, that's more of an issue.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I'm going the route I'm going.
Is your sump there too?
Yeah, and I do have vents. I've got 3 vents down underneath the stand. So I mean, you know, I get as much ventilation in the sump as I, you know, where the sump is that I can. So my pH is just low. I never had this issue. This is odd though. I never had this issue on my 90 gallon, which was in the same room on the opposite wall. I never had an issue with my pH over there.
CO2 in the room. I mean, check your CO2 level and see if you're running high.
Right. Well, there is 3 dogs and 3 people in here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you've got 3 doggies. Did you have 3 doggies when you had your 90 gallon?
Not in the beginning, no. I only had 1 dog.
They gotta go.
Yeah.
What are you currently?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! She's not going anywhere.
Oh God! Oh.
And then the other one is laying on that side of the couch in the blanket.
Love it.
What are you currently dosing, Beth?
So I just dose the 2-part. It's the ESV, and I do alkalinity and very little calcium. I don't even dose magnesium. I don't need to. I sit consistently right around 1450 to 1500 without dosing. My calcium, I only dose like 5 milliliters a day, and my calcium is close to 500.
Wow.
My alkalinity, I was just looking. So I'm using a similar setup as you, Ron, but oh nope, get your paw out of there. I'm using the Kamower pumps, and it's the same situation. They daisy chain, and so I'm using those to dose the alkalinity and the calcium. And I was just looking at the app. I'm only dosing 15 milliliters of alkalinity a day.
Wow.
So, and I'm right about 9 on my DKH.
Nice.
Let's see here. Oh, I didn't dose any calcium up until about, I want to say like 3 months ago. I just didn't need to. Every time I tested, it was right where it needed to be. And so I just kept that, maintaining that with water changes, regular water changes, which now I'm not so regular on my water changes, but I do I try to do weekly, but it's more like every 2 weeks. And I do, let's see, I'm doing about 38 gallons. So I'm doing like what, 15% roughly every 2 weeks.
It's interesting to hear that you didn't have calcium and magnesium consumption to begin with, because I was exactly the same. I thought there was something wrong.
Yeah, no, I did too.
I wanted to dose. I was like, come on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same. I have a big bottle of the magnesium to dose, and I don't use it because I don't need it.
Well,
so
is it? Oh, you've got the assassin's briefcase of Hannah checkers, don't you?
I do. Yes.
Should be calling you
And
Leon.
Use that as a weapon. Put that next to my bed at night. So yeah, and so I use all my testers are Hannah's. I do have a couple backup, testers just to, if something seems weird, I'll test it a couple times with a Hannah, and then if it's still kind of, questionable, I'll pull out one of the manual test kits. And I think I have got a couple Saliferts and what was the other one? Maybe no, not a Red Sea. I think they might be all Saliferts actually. Yeah, I think they are.
How equal are all of you guys with your use by dates on test kits? I know this is
like use by dates.
I try to respect those. I try to respect
Jason's
those.
like, what's a use by date?
Yeah, fuck that.
Dude, if they expire, I throw it out because I already don't trust the test kit. If it's expired, I definitely don't trust the test kit.
I'm entirely too cheap for that. I'm not throwing that shit away. You kiss my ass. That's
like $18. Like, think about all the money you've got in coral and shit. Just throw it away. Like,
yeah.
Do you know how expensive a Red Sea test kit is? Like, those things are not cheap.
Well, then I still have some Red Sea buying Red Sea test kits.
Yeah,
I understand that, but I got a good deal on them at the time. But if they're still not cheap, but no, yeah. I mean,
Jason, level with me here. Seriously, how long after a use by date would you then, or will you just literally use it until it runs out?
Hold on.
Oh God.
Oh gosh.
Here's my test kit.
2022.
Now, hold on. Now, let me tell you something. Now, I don't test calcium very often, and I don't test magnesium very often. I don't. I really don't. So, but that's what I use this Red Sea for. When is the use by date on this? Hold on, let me find it. Oh, you asshole.
This is when he finds out it's not even a test kit.
No, it's like this stuff's way out of date. I just don't know where the date is. This expired 9/20. This expired 9/23.
Okay,
it's not horrible.
Will you use that?
No. It's not horrible. But like I said, I don't use this very often. I don't test calcium very often. Like once every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks maybe, when things look wonky. I hate testing. I hate it. Drives me insane. So I don't do it very often.
Can I just check which part of reefing it is you like, Jason?
Yeah.
Getting stoned and looking at the tank.
Fuck you, Ron. Dick. I like when shit just works. So I probably shouldn't be in this hobby, but
No.
No, I don't know. Like, it's not that I hate testing. It's just, I don't think about it.
You do.
I don't enjoy testing, Jason. I have to admit, at first when I got the pipetter that takes exactly 10 mil and stuff, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then once you've done that a few times, it's like, and then you got to wait for some of the reaction times, and then you forget to go back to it. And yeah, I totally get it.
So
what are you dosing, Jason?
AFR, all for reef.
Boom.
And you want to see my doser? Check out my doser. Booyah. Doser. Yeah, there it is. See that? No fancy shit. You take some of this, you suck it out of the bottle.
What else?
You go and squirt it in the tank. And you're done.
Enough. I know what's coming. Beth, you can behave.
What else do you use that syringe for? What else do you put in that syringe? Because I'm willing to bet it's more than just what you dose in the tank. Multi-use syringe, right?
I have lots of syringes.
Okay, so how do you keep them all straight?
You just have to know.
Are they labeled?
Those ones go beside the bed. This one's beside the
labeled. Have you lost your fucking mind? That's you, Ron, not me. My shit is in disarray.
I love labeling. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so you guys are organized.
Did you see my closet? Did you see my
You guys
closet?
are organized. Like, I have shit everywhere. Like, no. Organization.
Jason,
And that's why shit doesn't work in your house.
Okay.
I fucking love Jason to bits, but I think I would have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
You would fucking lose your mind. Both of you. You'd be like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, because I have shit everywhere.
Yeah, no, I can't go there.
I
can't deal with that.
I am the most unorganized, cluttered, like, I'm a mess.
I have respect
I'm a mess.
for people that can be as relaxed as that. I have been told I should maybe be a little bit more like that. And I just...
No, but see, I wish I was that. I wish I was organized and everything was neat. And
really?
I'm just, I would love it, but I can't do it.
I see a therapist.
My brain's not wired that way.
Issue.
Like, I mean, I'll try for a little bit and then it just goes to hell. And then I'm like, whatever. I don't give a shit.
I will stand after washing my car, and if a bird shit hits it, I will need 5 minutes to calm down.
Well, that's different. That's different.
I will just...
We're talking about the car.
I will stand and stare at the sky and just be like, I mean, you could have shat there. You could have shat there, but you just right there.
Well, I have a bright red car, so they aim for it.
Oh my God.
As soon as I wash my car, immediately they shit on it. Bastards.
Same here. I'm on a flight path. Anyway, enough about bird shit. So you're an AFR man, so you are testing your 3 main to see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I test alkalinity. Well, new tank, so I've been testing it every day now. And watching it. I tested calcium the other day.
New tank? You got a new tank?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had the tank, but it's finally going.
Oh, okay.
So everything got moved last weekend. So it's up and running, but now I'm trying to get all of that, how much AFR every day. Is it taking more? Is it taking less? It's taking a little bit more for whatever reason. So
it is taking about...
Yeah, I was dosing about 12 mLs before every day. Now I'm up to like 20. So it's taking a little bit more just to get alkalinity like in check. Because it's like, I didn't test yesterday because I wasn't home, but the day before it was like 7, which is low, a lot lower than like where I want to be. I want to be in I like to be in the 8.5 to 9 range. So just trying to get it kind of dialed in. New tank struggles,
Oh, I think it sounds like you've been quite successful with the move. I would expect corals to sulk slightly during a move, therefore your consumption would go down. That would be my
take. They were pretty happy as soon as I moved them. Realistically, I mean, they didn't really like do anything stupid. So
sounds good.
You also let the sticks go in the last tank, so it's a lot of softies and you're dunking.
Yeah. Like I lost those 3 sticks in the last tank because of the Duncan. I let the Duncan basically wreck them.
But I'm not surprised that the Zoas and the Duncan were just like, holy shit, brand new tank water. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Duncan, it opened up immediately. I took it out of the tank and, rolled it around a little bit, looked at it, and then put it in there, and 10 minutes, it was completely open again.
Did you just?
It has more room now too.
Did you just say roll it around a bit?
Have you seen the size of that fucking thing? You gotta go like this to look at all the heads.
It's not a fucking puppy. Where did you roll it on the carpet?
No, jackass.
What do you mean took it out and rolled it around?
Do you know how many heads are on that fucking thing? You got to go like this with it to see all the heads.
Keep doing that.
Right. What is?
It's fucking huge. I mean, all the heads are like that big. There's 45 heads on it. Yeah, it's enormous. Pictures don't do it justice. When you take it out of the tank, you look at it, you're like, holy fuck.
That's what I tell people. Pictures
massive.
don't do it
Pictures
justice.
never do it justice.
I missed my audio drop chance. Bollocks.
Better late than never.
Never.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, would you like to talk about your
Sure.
routine?
Yeah, I can pretty much piggyback right onto Jason. So I'm also dosing Alpha Reef, which is like a calcium formate. So it's calcium alkalinity, magnesium, traces, all in one. The main difference between Jason and I is I'm dosing it with a like Kamoer single head dosing pump. Cost me
No
100
syringe for
bucks.
you.
Pardon?
No syringe for you.
No syringe. No, I keep those for other things. No. um, and I test. So like in the beginning, it was kind of like Jason. I was testing very frequently to try and get it dialed in. I had it dialed in on my previous tank, and then with the move, more water volume, more space for the coral, I think has really allowed them to kind of take off a bit more. So it's gone up, but I'm dosing about 35 mils a day on the dosing pump, and then I'll just check alkalinity. I maybe test calcium and magnesium about once a month. Mostly because it's so stable with the Alpha Reef. I've never done an ICP, and knock on wood, I mean, things are looking good, so I haven't seen the need to do it. I would be interested to see, maybe there's something in my tank that I don't want, but I'm not sure what I would do to fix it other than just like, pull all the water out. So I don't know if it's worth the $60 test. That's
Ignorance
it.
is bliss.
Pardon?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, man. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
And things are looking good, and I'm just trying to keep on top of like my main parameters, and it's been working. So I think eventually I'll go the route that Zach's doing once it becomes too expensive to run my Alpha Reef, go like calc with an A and K, and then just do like maybe a monthly dose of magnesium if it starts to dip. Something to talk about for you guys who aren't seeing like calcium and magnesium consumption. I didn't understand this for a long time when I started dosing because, like you guys, I would see my DKH drop by like half a DKH or my ALK drop half a DKH, and then calcium and magnesium would seemingly not move. And I couldn't figure out why. And Randy Holmes Farley actually put out an article about um, like consumption in general on coral. So he said on average for calcium, depending on the coral species, it's like 18 parts per million per 2.8 DKH. So if your DKH swings by 2.8, you would only see a 18 parts per million swing on your calcium, which is still within like the margin of error on most test kits. So you're not going to see calcium move at all, but you're going to see your ALK swing left and right. So that's when I kind of realized I could be dosing Alpha Reef because it is consuming your calcium and magnesium, but you're probably keeping up with it with your water changes. But with dosing Alpha Reef, it's dosing it in a proportional amount, give or take what your corals are consuming. So it's there, it's just not detectable by our shitty test kits.
I'm really intrigued by Alpha Reef, and I almost want a smaller tank to be able to try it and see how it goes. I don't remember hearing any huge disaster stories with people that dose Alpha Reef. It seems to just be on cruise control and that's
so
it.
The only thing I've heard, again, to reference Matt Wandel once again, I forget how he did it. I think he either had it on an auto tester where it would kind of like your situation would dose based on consumption, and then that misfired, or it was just like a regular dosing pump. But basically, he dumped like a liter of this stuff in his tank, and then
I remember that
because it's calcium formate, the bacteria has to convert the alkalinity. So he would do a 50% water change, and his alkalinity would sit at 14. And then he'd do another 50% and it would sit at 14. And it was because the Alpha Reef was still in the tank getting converted by bacteria. So if you're not keeping an eye on it and you overdose the shit out of it, you're going to be in trouble for a while trying to fix it. But generally, if you're dosing a consistent amount, it's pretty bulletproof.
That must have been a complete mind fuck.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Did somebody in Reefy as fuck Discord not have this? Was it Brian V or something? He kept on testing. Somebody was testing, and there was a parameter that just would not drop no matter how much they took water out. And I can't remember who it was. Somebody said something at some point. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything has potential to fail if you aren't careful. So I don't doubt it. I know Brian was saying he had issues with salinity and something else. I've been lucky to have no issues, so I always swear by it, but it's not for everybody. I mean, I'll probably I bought the 1,600 gram container of it, and it's lasted me well over a year now, but I'm obviously dosing more now with the new tank. I'll probably buy one more, see how long it lasts me, and then figure out if I want to transition to calc or if I want to keep doing what I'm doing. But having one dosing pump, one container, test alkalinity and track it, it's just so simple.
It's simple. Yeah. That's the that's it. It just works. I mean, and when you don't have a big tank, it's been solid for me.
So I can keep my alk around 8, 8.2. Sometimes it'll dip to 7, 8, and then I'll increase it by I'm dosing it every hour of the day, 1.5 ml every hour. So it's really solid. And my pH is solid at 8.2, which I'm really happy with. I would not, to push it another 0.1 pH for me is just not worth the chase. I'm happy with it. So, yeah.
Superb. I was thinking just yesterday, obviously one of my famous sayings is stupid fucking hobby, which is so true. But I think half of the reason why we're all in this hobby is because you're never getting to the end.
Right.
Ever. I mean, look at Jim's tank, right? Jim's tank is one of the most unbelievably stunning, well-arranged, beautiful, full of chunky colony tanks I've ever seen.
And he's fucking bored.
Well, yeah, he is bored, but it's absolutely stunning, right? And I can't remember my fucking point now.
Sorry. You were saying it's never finished, right?
That's
You're
it.
never getting to the end.
So his tank literally is like a cutout of a magazine, right? Everything is just all nestled in. The branches are interlocking and stuff. It's just perfect, right? But he's now having to hack stuff up. It's never ever done. And I think that genuinely for me is why I'm in this. I got into reefing at the very, very bottom of a massive depression in my life. And I got into this hobby knowing that this hobby needed me. Even one day I could not leave this fish tank. There was no automation at that point. So that's why I did it. And I think that's why we're all in the hobby. I think we're all fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
We like stress. When there's a disaster, we all hate the disaster. However, there's always a little bit of opportunity tied to a disaster.
Right.
Sort of reset or new bit of gear or
well, you were following me when I had that huge algae outbreak and the cyano outbreak and stuff. And I kind of realized that I like dealing with those problems because it gives me something to do, something to keep an eye on, something to worry about. I kind of have beat it back just by manual removal and continuous maintenance, adding herbivores. And now I'm kind of well, now what? As much as I hate seeing it in the tank and I want to get in there and it drives me fucking insane every single day. Now that it's done, I'm okay, so I just watch coral grow now, I guess, until something else happens.
Just turn your heater and return.
This is how you end up with multiple tanks right there. That's how you end up with multiple tanks because you get bored.
For sure. Look at Jim. He's buying tanks by every few months.
Yeah.
Oh no! See, I have to defend him and say no. Did Jim not get given a tank?
I don't actually know. I just know that he's got this stunning I don't do fucking shit tank. And I'm man, I've been battling to get a nice looking tank for 2 years now, and you set one up in under 6 months and it just works.
Yep.
So he's doing something right.
He's a very, very good reefer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta say, I was the same way when I would have, cyano issue or just hair algae. I had in my 90, I had a huge hair algae issue. It was so bad that I took all of the rock out. And had it in buckets of mixed heated salt water, and we scrubbed every last strand of hair algae off these rocks and put them back in the tank, and I basically started over. And so now with this one, Zach would always have to talk me off the ledge. I'm like, I'm gonna just tear this thing down. I'm done. I can't deal with it. It would stress me out. I would just walk, because it's right in my living room. You walk in my front door and it's the first thing you see, and it's 6 feet long, so you can't miss it. And I would just look in it and be like, oh God, I can't look at this. So now it's no big deal to me. I will look at it as an opportunity, and now I'm a little more relaxed about it. But now the whole multiple tank thing, I've got 3 tanks sitting empty downstairs. And so when this fleece roller goes in next week, I've got all that rock that's been in there cooking for like a year. So it's been in the sump for a year. And so now I'm thinking, this is a good opportunity to have, I could fill one of those tanks up. But I don't know yet.
Always next week, right, Beth?
There is always next week. Yes.
After the fleece roller.
Right, yes. See, I can't, if I do it all at once, then I have nothing new to do, so I gotta, just take your time.
Pace yourself.
No rush. It's not a race.
I have to say,
we all think it is. We're all racing to get our shit set up so fast. It's so funny.
See, that's why I just I forget about Discord for like 3 weeks, and you guys don't hear from me because I just don't want to deal with your criticizing me.
We're all just like, let's go, Beth, let's go.
I know. I'm like, let them simmer for another week.
We are quite a non-judgmental group in comparison.
I know.
I have to say. On the subject of your hair algae outbreak, I have to say that my attitude towards people new in the hobby and getting hair algae outbreaks and things like that, see if you don't get through that, then you're just not meant to be in the hobby.
Yeah.
If you stop, you get out of the hobby and you give up, then that you're not meant to be in this hobby. So everything happens for a reason, I think. And
right. Yeah.
Some people you talk to them like, I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm just going to shut it down. It's like, I'll give you one opportunity and I'll give you some advice and some encouragement. But you know what? If it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yeah. No. You
can't be a quitter in this hobby.
No.
You cannot be a quitter in this hobby because you just might as well not even start.
Yeah.
If you're a quitter,
you stand up and this hobby stabs you.
Yeah.
And then you fall over and you go, oh, fucking hell. Oh, God, I'm going to bleed to death. But you better get to the hospital, you stand up and the tank goes, and you go, oh, I think that was maybe is that a lung? I think that's a lung. Oh, no, it's fine. I've got another lung. I'll keep going. Oh, that's fucking kidney. So,
his but a flesh wound.
You're just a punctured, bloody blob by the end of this.
Yeah, well.
So just back to dosing. Mr. Berry, would you like to give us an insight into how you dose and what you dose and why?
I'm probably an outlier here, but sure. So I have a double calcium reactor. So there's a calcium reactor that feeds a calcium reactor because I couldn't keep up with just one 10-inch calcium reactor. And then I have a kalkwasser reactor that's also adding calcium hydroxide continuously. And on top of that, I dose just liquid 2-part calcium because I can't keep the calcium up with the alkalinity, kind of like you guys were talking about earlier. So I have to add that as well. So I pretty much am covering every base except for Alpha Reef. I'm not doing that currently. And on top of that, I also do zinc, manganese, and iodine on a weekly basis.
So in what form is that? Like the KZ stuff, or is it single bottles, or?
ATI single bottles.
ATI, is that the light company?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they did.
So they do ICP, and so I started using their stuff based on their ICP testing. Because last year I decided to test monthly ICPs to see what trends I could see or things like that. And so I did a whole year's worth of ICPs, and basically the only things that like went down were manganese and zinc, which are constantly used. You cannot run out of them. And so that's the stuff I usually dose.
I have to say, Mike, I am so used to using Zoom and having eye contact with people. I feel like my eyes are all over the fucking place trying to find somewhere to look when you're talking. I'm like, oh, do I look at Gordon? That's creepy. Do I look? I'll just look down here.
Like, I didn't take a shower yet this morning. I was not going to get on Zoom. That was not happening.
Bring us in the shower, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
How dirty is it?
Oh man.
So, you mentioned all for refilling.
I'm leaving that alone.
I mean, I don't know how you would. I don't know how you would get that much delivered.
Exactly. You'd have to get the powdered form.
Yeah, in bulk, like by the skid.
Yeah.
What's this?
I mean, I chew through so much like alkalinity and calcium that the reactor is the only way to go. And as it is, I have to clean it out every 3 months because it basically melts so much media that I get sand that forms on the bottom. Although hopefully that'll be better because I switched to Reborn from the ARM stuff.
I can't believe you have a calcium reactor feeding a calcium reactor. So when will you have to feed the first calcium reactor another calcium reactor?
That's definitely a possibility. I have one more.
Oh, jeez.
So I tried putting calcium reactors in my 2 little inside tanks, and it just didn't work out. One of them was fine, and the other one I was just fucked at all times. Not sure what's wrong with that tank, but I'm going to shut it down. But so I got that one. I could feed that one first into the other one, into the other one. Theoretically, it makes the CO2 usage much better because essentially the pH of the water is already lowered when it gets in there from the first system. So I'm trying to maximize CO2 usage, and it seems to have helped. The last 20-pound bottle I have used is now in like 8 months. And usually they last like 6 months, and it's still not empty yet.
So you need one per reactor? Like I guess I'm a little bit new to the idea of using a calcium reactor. Like, can you tie them all into the same one?
You probably could, but I'm not that sophisticated because basically you have to like even out the gas and everything else. And I was like, I don't want to fuck with this. And so each reactor has its own pH probe, and so it sets its internal pH. So you have to have CO2 coming in through a solenoid, essentially. And so you have to have an individual solenoid for each system. So at that point in time, it's just easier to set up 2 bottles. Like I have a 20-pound for the big reactor and a 5-pound for the little reactor.
Well,
sounds pretty sophisticated to me.
Yep. Thanks for putting me off ever using a calcium reactor. That's my decision made.
Mike,
you have to understand, I'm like the way off the fucking bell curve in terms of my usage. So normal people wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Mike, like with a system like yours and like you have 2 calcium reactors running, how often are you checking in on those parts and performing maintenance, putting in new like media and stuff? Like I know to have an error at your level in the hobby, I would call this your second job, honestly, but it would be detrimental, right? So like I'm just curious how anal you are, because I know I would be fucking insane just about checking on everything with that much water, that much coral. You're what, almost 2 years into this project, I think? Is it more than that?
Close to 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a year and a half right now. So in terms of the reactors, basically, I have Apex gears, so I have the Trident check in, or Trident, whatever the fuck it is. So I check that daily. And if I see any trends like the pH starts to drop, then I know that something's up. It's really hard to figure out sometimes why the hell that happens, but I'll see it trend down. So usually the easy thing to do is just change the pH on the reactor slightly. So drop it down like half a point or 0.05. And when I do that, usually it'll pick back up and go back to where it's supposed to be for a while, or it'll overshoot slightly and I just have to go back to my original level and it'll stay there for a while. But it's generally pretty stable with that sort of stuff. So to answer your question more directly, I typically get to check once a day, depending on my work schedule. I just kind of look at the corals, I'll look at like the numbers and stuff like that, and just kind of see how things are going. Every couple of weeks, I change out like I clean skimmers and things of that sort, but it's not that bad because it's very, very automated.
Gotcha. I'm now picturing Mike going around kissing his wife before bed, kissing his kids before bed, and kissing his 2 calcium reactors before he goes to bed, just to check that they're okay. Are you okay? You're okay?
You have to, man.
Do you have any nightmares?
So one thing I'll tell you about calcium reactors is they are loud as fuck.
Really?
So
really?
Cannot be in there are 2 issues here. The solenoid. So if you buy the expensive solenoid, the whatchamacallit, carbon reactor or carbon doser, that one is quieter. The Milwaukee's sound like a pop gun going off. It's like whap as the solenoid closes. And that happens anytime it opens or closes, and so you hear that fairly continuously. Then the bubbles going into the actual pump that chews them up is like sound constantly. Now that goes down in between dumping bubbles in, but I mean it's definitely a noisy device.
Awesome.
I never knew that. Nobody talks about that.
Nope.
No.
I actually think it sounds cool. It sounds like there's a transformer in your house.
I could take you out there at some point in time.
It might sit in the corner for a couple months.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, if you get really OCD about your bubble counts and shit, then it's not so big. But I found that the bubble count thing was kind of a pain in the ass. Like if you're sitting there tweaking the little things, so you have just enough bubbles each going in, that ended up causing more problems than good. So mine is not wide open, but it's not far from wide open. So when the pH gets too high, it just dumps a shit ton of CO2 in a quick hurry and then closes. And then it processes that. So it doesn't stay exactly at the level I want. It tends to overshoot, undershoot a little bit. But it seems to work much better than trying to perfectly manage the number of bubbles. And I found that the carbon doser, the expensive reactor, did not do what it said in terms of that. I finally just opened it wide open and just lived with it.
I'm definitely intrigued by them. I think at scale it makes so much sense. However, you've not convinced me to go out and order one right now. That's for sure. No chance.
I always wonder how far you could push just doing a massive calc stir and just dosing gallons of. I know at a certain point it's not safe, but I always wonder how far you could push it. And at a system of what size,
When you go, Mr. Double.
Well, what do you mean? Are you talking like the slurry? Because I do slurry. I don't do saturated calc.
Okay.
So all the calc that goes into my water, it actually is the actual calc paste. It's not dissolved.
Right. Well, that's what I'm wondering. How far could you push that? Could you
find out?
Yeah. No, I
have too many corals to push that.
How do you not clog a doser with a slurry?
Honestly, I'm really surprised, and I'm really surprised I don't. So the whole setup, I guess I'll talk more in depth. What I was talking earlier is I have a 5-gallon bucket and a J-Bell SLW. That J-Bell SLW always keeps the slurry churned, right? It's like a butter churner, essentially. And from there, I just have a dosing line go in to the very bottom and collect the slurry or collect whatever effluent is just, being churned. I keep forgetting which camera angle I'm supposed to sit at. But
right there.
Correct.
So no, the Chemower, it's a Pro T1. It's the one that's shaped like this. It's not clogged, and I've been running it this way for 6 months. I know other people who have been doing it with other pumps, Versa, Chemower, the GHL standalone. No issues.
Is it continuous, or do you have it just going off throughout the day?
It's on off based on pH.
Okay.
So
there we go.
So, yeah. You guys are over here. I'm looking over here. But yeah, no, I like the slurry. It was kind of a leap of faith because honestly, I was dealing with evaporation and normal saturated wasn't good enough. Like I was dealing with I think like upwards of a gallon a day calc.
Wow.
And I pretty much like I almost never actually had to use my top off. Like there was times where it would actually push past what my evaporation was, and I actually would have to turn off calc, turn off my ATO, let it naturally evaporate.
Wow.
And I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I ended up talking with Jim and oh yeah, 100%. Like push it down towards 21, 22, and I'm like, yeah.
Start pouring salt in the tank.
I was actually doing I wouldn't call it actual brine, but I would actually do a water change with stronger than 026 just to bring it back sometimes.
Yeah, I do that if my salinity is a little bit low. I'll put like 30 or sorry, like 40 ppt in sometimes just to bring it up.
Yeah.
There's somebody on YouTube that's doing really, really high salinity water changes. Is it Mark Levinson? I can't remember. Somebody, but they give a huge disclaimer to say, I'm not suggesting you do it though. Because it's, yeah. I don't know, the whole calc slurry thing. I mean, Zach, how, if you were to come to Scotland for a fortnight,
yes,
would you be happy enough to leave that system running automated?
Yes.
Fair enough. I would struggle with that. Saying that, I've never left my reef tank since I started in the hobby. So,
what? Really?
Like maybe for a weekend.
I have no life.
I mean, I did it with normal calc. I'm going to do it with calc slurry here in probably 3 weeks. It's no different.
I leave mine for like 11 days in September, every September.
I mean, is there risk? Yeah, there's risk. You know, mechanical things break.
But there's risk going to bed every night.
Yeah, exactly. A meteorite could smash me in the middle of the night.
Depends who you're going to bed with. Why do you have super glue on your bedside table? Is that your artificial nails? I hope so.
God damn it.
Oh.
So, and you said you're doing, is it monthly mag? Zach?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find that it moves a lot in the month?
Yeah. Sometimes it'll get down to like this last time it got down to I want to say 1280, I think. And I brought it back up towards like 1450 to 1500. The reason being I was dealing so with this new tank in the whole system, there's a bunch of new open rock and sand, right? Well, whenever I was dealing with this hold on, I have to focus. I was dealing with this this alkalinity precipitation loop that I couldn't break. And so I would stop dosing per Randy Holmes. I'd stop dosing for like 3 or 4 days, and I never saw my alk actually drop. There was just this weird saturation in the system. I don't know what was happening. So I'd kill that, but I could also never bring it up. Like my alk there for a while, whenever it was during this pre-soup loop, was like 6 something, 6.5, maybe. And so I started reading more into it, how to break it, and he said, well, nutrients, like nitrogen and phosphates binding to the surface of the rock can help eliminate or help stifle that. And so like I'd stop dosing, hoping that I would see a dip, and in that mind would hope to see that like it would stop binding. Well, that never stopped. I tried that I think like twice or three times. And then I found another article from him or like another thing on alkalinity abiotic precipitation, where it was if you push magnesium actually helps balance the other two, preventing like this from happening. Some reason like it acts as like a third weight that suppresses these two from going too much. And so I was like, okay, fuck it, try it. And so it worked. I don't know what I mean, this was several weeks ago at this point. I haven't seen where it's at. I should probably check, to be honest, to see if I should have to keep it suppressed or keep it elevated to help suppress the alkalinity. But it's working.
Are you on the magnesium road salt train, or are you what are you using for that?
So I use Magflakes, which is that the magnesium chloride? And then there's the other one, which is like the magnesium hexahydrate Epsom salts. So it's a two-part magnesium. You use 7 3/4 of one and 3/4 of the other, or something like that. And yeah, I don't have to deal with shipping from places that don't keep it in stock and other things like that. So yeah.
This was the subject that made me look like a complete clown when it came to road salt, because we do not use what you guys use for road salt. And I thought Zach Budnick was literally going to use road salt.
Yeah, because you can use road salt.
He was going to use road salt.
We were roasting him for that. I'm sure we went too hard. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure it was fine, but we're like, fuck that. Do not do that. And then he didn't. He ended up doing what Mr. Dub's doing, I think, with the Epsom salts. So
yeah.
I just worry about like, the quality of that stuff. Like you're putting like lead in your tank and shit. Like
SSDs, dude.
Yeah.
SDSs. I mean, SDSs tell you the purity as long as you can find them. And he was finding them for the chemicals he got. So, I mean,
yeah, I said, I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's like there's different grades, right? There's USP, there's food, there's reagent. There's so many different grades. Some of them kind of mean the same thing. They're just different fucking societies that say, I'm better than you type shit. But typically if you do food grade or higher, you're going to be set.
But is road salt food grade? Like, to me, it's like it's what your cars drive on. You're not eating the shit, right? Like,
right. Well,
I mean,
so
we used to eat paint chips, so.
Like a company that used to source, it was Magflake. I think it was Dead Sea Company Magflake. They used to source magnesium for a lot of different things. Well, the one company that would source magnesium chloride for road salt sourced it from Dead Sea Company. And Dead Sea Company was of high purity. So that's like where that all kind of came from. Like if you look, Randy has an article on his reef keeping thing that specifically says like, don't use I'm paraphrasing, don't use any road salt. I know, I think it was like two companies. There's Dead Sea Magflakes and I don't remember the other one, but he had checked the SDSs and made sure, and he was like, these work, they're great, have fun, don't use other things unless you can actually find the purity of them. But yeah.
Well, it just goes to show I know fuck all about that kind of stuff, and I just would rather spend the extra $20 a bag and know that I'm getting something reef safe, and I'm not at a scale where that's going to make a difference. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the guinea pig for road salt and a reef tank. Nope.
Come on, Ron.
Nope.
Ron. I admire people who are smart enough and who are dedicated enough to find that information and to be confident enough in their own knowledge and research to say, yeah, this is going to fucking work, even though it's not conventional. Because I am still so new in the hobby, like almost 2 years in, and I'm still like gun shy about it. I'm like, no, I won't. Even Jim making his own alkalinity, I know scientifically it's fucking juvenile. It's like he's doing one little chemical reaction and he's making some alk additive, and good for him. But then I'm like, my brain just goes nuts. Like, oh well, what's on the pan that you're using, and like, what did you have in that pan before? And I just don't. Again, like, how pure is it? Blah 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 blah. Like, I just go down that rabbit hole, and I know even our own reef additives are probably not that pure. Like when you get down to traces and stuff, but somebody's liable for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you said,
Arm & Hammer isn't going to pay for your fucking reef tank when it dies. Like
cleaning grade, and it says it is 99.5% sodium carbonate. So there's a 0.5 in there that is keeping me awake at night.
It's probably sodium bicarbonate.
Yep, and a sodium carbonate. So
no, the 0.5% is probably bicarbonate.
Yep.
Down to CO2, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, anyway, I've not started dosing it yet, and like Jordan just said, it's because I'm like, it's all mixed up and it's all ready to go, but I've still got some of this Red Sea stuff that I can point the blame at.
You're gonna change your mind. You're not gonna use that bag.
I've already mixed up 15 liters because I like the mixing process.
He has to use that bag now. Ron has to use that bag now because Jim is going to string his ass up if he doesn't.
But
when does it expire, Ron?
Jason, well done, Beth. That's where I'm going next. It expires a year in August. So if I can string this Red Sea out until then,
You can do it. You can do it.
Saturday.
I'm going to send Jim a direct message. I'm going to send Jim a message. I'm going to tell him,
fucking
this is what Ron's trying to do. Do not allow it to happen.
He was like a proud dad the day I said I was going to mix one out. He was like,
yes, he absolutely was.
Fuck the man. Take your money for probably the same stuff.
Yeah.
As long as somebody's
definitely sending him a message.
Jim is happy.
I think it's funny though. Like, I think we're kind of a split chat here right now, where I think Mike and Zach are very much team, like, we can figure this out and do it yourself. And I think that's awesome because, like, that's what's going to innovate the hobby into cheaper alternatives. Guys like the ABC reagents, like, those are those kinds of people. Whereas we're just like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Just keep it safe. Let's not kill our reef tanks. So
I'll pay an extra $20.
Goddamn right, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
I have way too many corals to just, test out and push the limits. No, thank you.
For me personally, it's a bit of an intelligence level issue for me. I don't even know the entire chemical process that happens in my reef tank. I'm sorry. I can grow the fuck out of corals, and I have, in my opinion, reasonably nice looking fish tanks. But all of the scientific knowledge and background, and you guys talk about reading papers, I'm like, the paper to me is a tabloid newspaper. It's that next level for me. And with my learning difficulty of, as soon as something is not absorbed by my brain instantly, I run the other direction. And I am not joking. Like a petulant child, I will spit my dummy out, run the other way, and I'm like, fuck it, don't need it then. So I think for me, it's a little bit of an intelligence thing for me. I am not intelligent enough to gain enough knowledge to then have the confidence to use calc or a calcium reactor right now. I might dedicate some time to it. And at that point, I would be like, hey, Zach, Mike, can we have an actual Zoom chat about how you do it? Run me through the whole thing, but it has to be in bite-sized pieces for me to consume.
That's exactly where I'm exactly the same way, Ron.
Yep.
Exactly. That's why I'm still on AFR.
I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not an intelligent person.
But now, when it's time to go away from AFR because it becomes too expensive, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to ask other people that actually have the brain that can wrap around the science part of it, because mine, not so much. I can build you a car, I can build you a house, but the science part of this hobby is like, you're right. No.
But what do you consider too expensive to continue? Because this isn't a cheap hobby, as we're all.
Oh, no.
aware.
But I mean, if I'm dumping, like, if I'm burning through one of the big containers of AFR in 2 months, or less, then that's going to be, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the big containers, what, $100 now? I think for the big one.
And how long does it last you?
Oh, look, I've been using that one for like over a year.
Check the expiry date.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You.
I think
fuck you. No, I'm going to check it. I wonder if it has one.
Is that January? That's February, March, April, May.
What the fuck? What's in?
There's
no expiration date. I looked. No expiration date. We don't have to worry about it.
Fucking liar.
I mean, I twisted it around a little. No, nothing. Good.
You roll it or take it out and roll it around.
I rolled it around a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Fuck you, Ron. Fuck you.
I've never had so much enjoyment in somebody insulting me. I absolutely love these chats. As soon as somebody says "fuck you, Ron," it's like, oh, yes.
Proud dad moment. Proud dad moment.
Yes. Like, what have I created? Abuse. Well done, Ron. So I've forgotten what we were talking about there. There was, so intelligence and the understanding of the actual science parts of it. And I'm not ashamed to say I have skipped a lot of, see the nitrogen cycle, right? That took me like 6 years to work out the nitrogen cycle. And I sit here with these tanks of people, Ron really must know his shit. Nope. I do not know everything. I
knows how to scrub algae real good.
Yeah, I've just. Is that January? That's now known as January. Quick story on the middle finger. I was in the back car.
You have short fingers. I just wanted to point that out. Really
fingers.
short.
Fingers
short
for chodes.
fingers.
Yeah. It's like a little sausage finger.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, the story goes, I was in the back seat of a car with my nephew, and he was like 2 years old. He was in his wee baby seat. And I'd had a few beers. This is back when I drank in front of the family. I don't know, because everyone's just fucking weirdos. So I'm in the back seat with this little boy, and Bernadette's mum is driving, and Bernadette's in the passenger seat. And I said, "Oh, Bruce, give that car beside us the one finger wave." And Bernadette and Betty instantly, Betty was driving, instantly, head 180, and Bruce is sitting in the back seat doing this.
Oh,
that's great.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
Yeah, I think we're literally about to wrap up, unless anyone has anything else to add to the dosing chat. I'd like to do a few more, so we'll get them booked in. But thank you so much, everybody, for dedicating this amount of time to chatting absolute bollocks.
Yeah,
the show
fun.
The show, and I use the term show very loosely, it's very aptly named. So thank you so much, everybody. And until next time.
All right.
Keep an eye on those expiration dates, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, Beth's going to have a little finishing note on the end of these talking bollocks now. Beth's best bits.
Yeah. What?
Check your expiry dates. Everybody. Boys off. Take care, everybody.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.